order, guys. All right, good evening. Welcome back to the interview room here at Little Caesars Arena. We are now joined by the Midwest Regional Champion Purdue Boilermakers. Gentlemen, thanks for coming. Congratulations. Please remember to silence your cell phone as a courtesy to the team members and also the media in the room. Please raise your hand to have a microphone brought your way to ask a question. And when you do, please introduce yourself and your media affiliation. And then finally, please note that the recording of press conferences on cameras or on cell phones is prohibited during this press conference. From your left to your right, we are joined by head coach Matt Painter, Zach Eady, Lance Jones, Fletcher Lawyer, and Braden Smith. Coach, if you wouldn't mind starting us out with an opening statement, we will then take questions for the student athletes.
Just congratulations, obviously, to Tennessee for a fabulous season. Very difficult to go against. Obviously, we played him earlier in the season. Great coach, great defense, very athletic. Dalton Connect is very good, and I think he showed that today and made it very, very difficult on us. But just want to give credit to our players and our staff for just sticking with it and competing and playing through and putting ourselves in a good position. Obviously, our fans were fabulous, and being able to come to Detroit after being in Indianapolis and really support us on Easter, and to be able to get to a Final Four is a dream come true for me as a coach and for these guys as players, and I'm just grateful to be in this position.
Thanks, Coach. Let's go to questions for the players. We'll start on the right side in the first row here.
Hey, Zach. Kyle with Sports Report Media. You walked off with the net and you saw Coach Katie. You gave him the net. What did that mean to you and also with him to have him along for the ride?
Yeah, you always got to pay respects to the people that came first. He built this. None of us, doesn't go over any of our heads. He helped set all this up, so to be able to kind of pay him back, just give him a little piece of net, is the least I can do.
Okay, moving on to the second row over here in the middle.
Josh Orsh, fan-sided. Lance, there's kind of a narrative a little bit in college basketball, at least on the men's side, that there aren't many big stars, but the guy sitting next to you is a pretty big star. Talk about him going back and forth with Dalton and their impact on the game.
Yeah, Zach his game speaks for himself. One thing I really like about Zach, he's humble. He doesn't brag about, what he does and what he's capable of doing. He just goes out there, he works, he puts his head down. He's a great teammate.
To the first row here.
Jimmy Speski, Purdue Fast Track News. This is for Lance. There have been a couple times, like the Ohio State game this year, where the team really wasn't shooting that well from three, and you were kind of hit a big three tonight, hit some threes in that game as well. Is there kind of anything that goes into that with team confidence when the rest of the team really doesn't have threes falling?
Just staying confident, just being ready to shoot. Coach Paint always tells us to just be ready to, shoot the ball when it comes your way and you're wide open. And I put a lot of work into my shot, so I have a lot of confidence in that, and, my teammates have a lot of confidence in me.
Third row on the right, Brennan.
Brendan Quinn with The Athletic. Congratulations to you all. If Braden and Lance could answer this. Braden, from your perspective, when Connect started getting going in the first half, just what you were seeing there, and then for Lance, did you anticipate being switched on to him prior to the game, and then why were you effective on him?
He's an unbelievable player, and he showed it tonight, and when somebody shoots the ball like that, there's just not a whole lot you can do, and we let him loose a couple times, so he was able to make those plays and make shots and kind of punish us from the three-point line. So, once Lance got on him, it's just what he does, man. It's an expectation for him to do that, and he did a great job.
Second row on the left, on the end. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lance.
I wasn't really effective offensively in the first half. So I just wanted to make it my main priority to lock in defensively, because I think, when I lead defensively, it, kind of trickles down and helps everybody else defensively. And, he was cooking. So, I just wanted to do anything I could to, shut his water off.
Zach, just with the way you guys play, All-American back-to-basket centers, they haven't won championships much in the last 10, even 20 years. So, you're, of course, you're used to being different as a person, but, just as a team, what do you think of the way you guys play, being different and being here?
I think it's just basketball. I think what wins basketball games in the regular season wins basketball games in the postseason. It's just like the rules stay the same, our team stays the same, refs, like everything's the same. It's just basketball, and what we do wins games a lot, and you kind of saw it on this stage.
Front row on the left.
Vedant Gupta, Global Kid Media. Coach Painter, first of all, congratulations on going to the Final Four. Off the court, for you, so many coaches taught you things. Coach Katie, you have a maximum of a little over a week with this group. What's one thing that you learned from Coach Katie that you want them to take with them in their lives?
To take with them in their lives, just understanding that you're a former player for 40 to 50 to 60 years, and just keep that in perspective. It's really hard after you've had success as a player to not think that way when your career's over. A lot of time your career's over if you're a professional, you know, around 32, 33, 34 years old. There's a few exceptions to that rule. But just, you know, keep that in place. And I always say you got to have two dreams. You got to have one through basketball and you got to have one through education, because you have this opportunity. And, you know, he really tried to talk to us about not just having a great basketball career, but take an opportunity like that and have a great life. And that's something I've always, you know, tried to pass on. Like, have fun with what you're doing. And if you can do that and, like, you enjoy what you do, then, you know, you're beating the system.
Right side here in the first row.
All right, Deion Cash, SC Live 365. Fellas, 5 minutes left in the game. What do you say to each other? And Zach, you know, being such a big figure in the game, you know, people say it's a failure if you don't make it to the Final Four. How does it feel right now knowing that you've been able to get your squad there? But we'll
Fletcher.
start with that first.
Fletcher, you want to take that first one?
Yeah, with 5 minutes left and really the whole time, it's corny, but we're saying stick together. We're saying keep communicating, keep being solid, keep doing what we've done in practice for too many months now. It's what we've worked for. It's what all these guys have done. When shots aren't falling, what are you going to do? You're going to go defend. And credit to these two on my sides. They did a good job on Connect. He's just a great player. And probably a few things we could clean up, but ultimately in the end, we're just talking to each other, staying solid, and knocking down free throws.
Zach, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been through it all as a team. It kind of happens when you come back. There's no scenario we can go in that we haven't been in before. Like, we're never gonna panic. We're never gonna like anything. Like, we're gonna keep playing. We're gonna keep executing. We're gonna keep doing what we do. And that was kind of the message. Thank you.
We'll go to the third row in the middle.
Hakeem Gillespie, Indy Star. Lance, just kind of following up on one of the previous questions. So how difficult is it to chase Connect off all those multiple screens? And obviously he's very adept at scoring off screens. And just how do you stay confident in the game plan, especially when he starts hot like that, and just kind of continuing to chase him around the court the way you did?
Just, you know, just sticking with it. Just trying to be physical, make his, you know, his catches, you know, limited, push the ball out where he catches the ball. And, you know, just try to make it hard on him defensively. I mean, he can rise over me and, you know, shoot over, you know, smaller guards. So, yeah, I just wanted to do whatever is necessary.
Right side, row two.
Terry Davis, tri-state defender. Hey, Zach, with 38 seconds left, you blocked Dalton's shot. Not only did you block it, you kept it in play. Walk us through that play.
I mean, obviously, I missed that free throw before. I was just trying to kind of get back and try to make my presence felt on that defensive end and kind of make up for it. And he drove in, and I felt like that was a play I could make, and I made it.
Left side, fourth row with Pat.
Pat 40, Sports Illustrated. For Zach, 39 and a half minutes against an incredibly physical defense. How much did you empty the tank today?
It's what we expected. I don't want to come off the floor. I don't care how my legs are feeling, how my body feeling. I want to stay on that floor, and I want to keep impacting the game. That's what everybody on the team wants. Like, nobody wants to come off. I'm never going to complain about playing a lot of minutes.
Left side on the end, fourth row.
Bob Kravitz with Indianapolis Monthly. For Braden and for Zach, what does it mean? I mean, you gave the net to Coach Katie. What does it mean to get Coach Painter to the Final Four?
For me, it's amazing. Like, I get to pay him back. Like, there were so many coaches that looked over me. Like, you could name a program, I could name a coach that looked over me. The Tennessee, Rick Barnes is a great coach, but he was in a bunch of our practice, looked over me. Like, it's kind of been the story of my life. People have doubted me. People look past me, and can't do that anymore.
We're going to stay in this row, second from the right.
Thank you. Frank Graziano, Media One Sports Canada. Congratulations, men. Zach, this question is for you. It's 2,200 miles, 3,600 kilometers from Toronto to Phoenix, but you're there now. When you think about where you were a year ago and where you are today and where you're headed next weekend, how's that journey been for you?
It's been a long journey. Obviously, I've been outside of my country for the last like 5-6 years, like starting in 11th grade, and to kind of end up to where I am now, it's amazing. But we still have a lot of basketball left to play.
We're going to do on the right side, standing up.
Greg Braggs, Boilers in the stands. Matt, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned throughout this journey as the head coach of this program through all your ups and downs?
Right. Just be strong in your convictions in terms of how you think the game should be played. You know, we base what we do offensively off, you know, our individual players, and just try to play to those strengths and then just be able to play off of those strengths. And just being able to stay with it. Like, obviously, we lost last year, and, you know, we just had to be better at what we do and do a better job of taking care of the basketball. And I stress that all the time. We work on it, but every coach stresses that. You know, every coach talks about rebounding the ball and taking care of the basketball. You know, you want to win that possession battle. And, yeah, stay in the process, but also looking at it and seeing where, you know, we could make improvements, seeing where we could be better. But we had some guys that didn't shoot the ball as well the year before that I had recruited, I had watched, I'd seen them in different environments really shoot the ball well. And so I believed in their ability and their work ethic. A lot of times, you know, I don't sit there and actually believe in a person as much as I believe in their work. And I delegate a lot of things so I can watch. So when we break down things, we meet as a staff, we talk about it, I delegate it because I don't want to be a part of it to where I'm not seeing the other end of the court. I'm not seeing people because I'm passing or I'm doing stuff, I'm involved with it. I want to watch, but I also watch how they carry themselves. And, you know, it's like a lot of people don't like that cocky high school kid, and it gets under their skin. That cocky high school kid's a good college player. Deep down, he believes in himself. And you have to have that. And we got a lot of guys sitting up here that has those qualities. And so when you struggle and things happen, we won the Big Ten by 3 games. We were a #1 seed. So to take on that loss and be able to do that, you still got to look back and say, you know, we did have some success there, and we don't need to change everything, but we do to make some subtle changes. And I thought, you know, Miles Colvin, Cam Heide, obviously Lance Jones, they really helped us. But I also felt like we had to be more skilled. And by doing that, you know, now not everybody gets to play as much or even play at all. And that's difficult because they've meant a lot to our program. They've done a lot of really good things. And that's the part I hate about coaching, because I want it to work. You know, I want everybody on our team to have his role. I want everybody to be a starter. You know, I want everybody to play and do that. So it's probably not a great quality to have as a coach. It's a good one to have as a person, because it eats at me when, like, we got guys that don't get in the game. It eats at me, they don't play. They probably don't feel that I feel that way, but I do. And but I just believed in the personnel that we had, and I felt we were going to make some improvements, but I didn't feel like what we were doing was wrong.
5th row on the right side.
Hey, Coach Eddie Pels with AP. It's not always that you get, you know, an Edie and a Connect out on the floor together, and then they both play the way they played. Were you, I know you're coaching, but were you able to appreciate what was going on out there between them while you were coaching?
Yeah, sure. Like, obviously we played against Dalton Connect earlier in the season. I don't think they realized, you know, quite what they had at that point, even though he was a really good player and played well in that game. You know, he's a consensus first-team All-American. He's probably going to be in the end of the lottery. But, yeah, he's a good player. You can't allow him to get to his sweet spots. And you got to have discipline, and you got to be able to stay attached to him. And at times you got to kind of force him into some twos and just make it difficult with him. And that's what great players do. You know, where you kind of cut your losses a little bit, and you're not trying to take away 100%. You're kind of trying to take away 80%, you know, of what he's trying to get accomplished. But yeah, we don't take Zach for granted. You know, and so like some of the nights, he should have got 50 tonight. If he makes his free throws, and that's what I've told. I thought he'd get 50. I know the season's not over, but I thought he'd get 50 in a game this year. And so it's, oh, there we go. I wonder what the hell it was. But no, like, you know, the thing about it is, and I played with Glenn Robinson, so that's my reference point, right, in terms of greatness in a player. He's very unselfish. So if you just get to your spots and you know what you're doing and you stay with what we're doing, if they just come and get him, like now we're playing horse. But if they don't, then we want him to be aggressive and score. So, yeah, but it was a good battle between those two guys.
A reminder, we're having questions for the student athletes first, please. We do have one here in the second row.
Ryan Bonaparte, Hammer and Rails for Braden. So this is one of the biggest wins in program history, but you're not done yet, right? So can you kind of contextualize where you are and where you still have to go?
Yeah, I mean, we just won an elite game. We're about to play in the Final Four, and we got 2 to go. So that's kind of our schedule coming up, and I think we're all ready for it.
Back to row 3 with Brennan.
Also for Fletcher and Braden, we'll all talk about the 40 from Zach, but your guys' ability to get to the basket and really attack seemed to have such a major impact of the game. I wonder how much of that was, you know, just trying to go against their pressure. But can you kind of just take us into that?
Fletcher, want to start that one?
Yeah, kind of all the baskets we've got and all the looks we got, we knew they were going to come. We knew how they were going to get kicked out to us or on the break going and getting them. But with Zach getting so much attention, so much pressure down low, that it opens up lanes for us, and oftentimes the 5 sometimes neglects us. But everything we've seen, it's credit to our coaches for showing us the film, showing us where we're going to get our baskets and having us prepared and be ready for it.
Braden, want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, Zach is just such a huge presence, and those bigs just like to stay connected with him. So for us to get downhill or, I mean, reject the ball screen and get the point guards looking the opposite way, for us to get downhill and make those next plays, I mean, he just opens up the floor so much for us, and they kind of just got to pick their poison there. Like, do they want to stay with us when we drive and shoot a layup, or do they want to stay with Z? So, I mean, it's just pick your poison there.
Any other questions for the players specifically? Okay, left side, second row.
Josh Orsh, fan-sided. Fletcher, I talked to you yesterday about what was different between the team this year to last year, and you talked a lot about, you know, developing your bodies, getting tougher, getting stronger. There were a couple moments where you collided with Zakai Ziegler out there and got knocked to the floor, things like that. Talk about, you know, how that toughness paid off today and being able to take that punch and give a little bit back.
Yeah, that game was hard fought all season, all summer. We fought hard, and it shows how mentally tough everybody is, how mentally tough the staff is. It's not easy to do what we just did, and to play in a game of that caliber, it's very impressive. I'm proud of these guys. Tennessee played great, and they played hard, and we played a little bit harder, and that's what we got to keep doing.
Go ahead to the right side here.
If I can sneak in a 2-for-1, Denny Cap, AP Broadcast. Zach, if you can just pull up big picture and just, I mean, plus 21 on the glass, plus 16 in the paint, best defensive team or one of the best defensive teams you'll face this year. How proud of you are of the job that you were able to do in there to battle that defense and come out the way you did personally? And last, for Fletcher, 44 years, you're going to hang a banner that says Final Four at a minimum, maybe better. Just kind of reflect maybe if you can on what it means for you to be a part of this next wave of Purdue Boilermakers making the championship stage. Thank you both.
Who was the first one directed for? For Zach, okay.
Well, I mean, the rebounds isn't just me, obviously. I got however many I got, but I'm not out there boxing out 5 people. Like we got a lot of guys that were doing the right things, a lot of guys that came with the right mindset, and we knew it was going to be a war. So we weren't surprised by anything they do, any like hard checks that they throw. We knew what was going to happen. So it's not just me; it's the whole team that attributes to that rebound difference.
Fletcher.
Yeah, I think what this means to us and our school and all the people that support us, I can't even put it into words right now. In 20 years, I'll probably be able to, but right now it's what we've worked for. It's a lot of hours we've put in, and looking up in the stands and seeing people cry, it means a lot. Fans that have no family connection to us, they're just fans of our university and our team, and I think the work we put in and how hard we go out there and play, it's special. So I'm so proud of these guys, and I'm looking forward to playing 2 more games.
We'll take one last question for the players here on the first row on the left.
Vedant Gupta, Global Kid Media. This is for any of you. I mean, you watch the Final Four each and every year. You watch that net get cut down. It's a full circle moment. Just how much exactly does that mean to be able to go up there on that ladder and cut down the net?
I mean, it's amazing. Like obviously, we've watched for the last 3 years teams kind of have this feeling and this experience, and now to be able to go through it ourselves. For me to be able to pay back for Coach Payne for really believing in me it's amazing.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Congratulations. We'll continue here for a few more minutes with Coach Painter, right side, front row.
Matt, Kyle, Sports Report Media. You did the interview with Robbie after the game. Very emotional with Robbie there. What does this win mean to past players, former players, and including yourself being a player to get to the Final Four?
Yeah, he was, he was watering up when I got up there. That was hard. More than anything, like, you appreciate the guys that have played for you, and you appreciate that they had opportunities to go other places, and they chose your school or they chose you, however you want to look at it. But we weren't very good when that class chose us. Our facilities were just okay. That's being nice. And we've really done a great job in, the last 15 years of upgrading what we have. But when someone, signs at your school and they have a lot of options like E'Twaun Moore, Juwan Johnson, and Robbie Hummel, and you got last place in the Big Ten and you're 35, 36 years old and you really I hadn't done anything. And so for our ability to get those guys, and they believed in us, and we obviously got close and, got the Sweet 16, but we didn't get further. And, in their career, we won the league once and got second 3 times. He had 2 major injuries. And so his battle, he should have played in the NBA for 8 to 10 years, but because of his injuries and everything, he didn't. And he was smart because now, he's, at the top of his game and what he does. I think everybody in this room would agree with that. And, but it just means a lot to a lot of people. But for someone like that, they deserved it. You have guilt. There's no doubt about that. You have guilt because Gene Katie deserved to coach in a Final Four, and he deserved to play in one. And then you're getting ready to go to one, right? And so, like, I just appreciate what, he did for us and what E'Twaun Moore and Juwan Johnson. We had 2 guys that were here that were all conference. And when you take a job, if you got some people that are already there to get started, it really helps you. And that was David Teague and Carl Landry. And both of those guys were all conference players, but we had to sign people behind them. And that was the class that really got us going. So just appreciative of everything that Rob's done for our program.
Third row here on the right side, Brennan. Yeah.
Brennan Quinn with The Athletic. Matt, can you describe how difficult it is to create teams that are as tactically sound as yours, just limiting turnovers, the offense you run, the high-level stuff you guys do, but then also a group that is diving on the floor, taking elbows, can match toughness with Tennessee. Just that combination, how hard is that to craft?
Right, yeah, I thought when we struggled about 10 years ago, everybody talks about doing a better job recruiting, and I thought we had to do a better job evaluating, because I would watch Belmont and I would watch Davidson and I'd watch guys at a mid-major level, and the best players at those places can play anywhere. And now you're starting to see it with the portal, right? Mark Sears, didn't start at Ohio his freshman year. Now he was behind an NBA player in Jason Preston, but still he didn't start his freshman year there, and now look at him, right? So there's great players everywhere. So I want to get Mark Sears out of high school, right? Because he had mid-major offers. And, Steve Lutz, who's the head coach at Western Kentucky, was the one that recruited Zach Edey. Micah Shrewsbury is the one that recruited Fletcher Lawyer. And so, like, I'm appreciative of those guys and what they did for our program, and they helped us. And I could go on and on about, our current assistants and the things they've done, and Brandon Brantley and Paul Lusk and Terry Johnson, and P.J. Thompson's going to be an absolute star in this profession, Sasha Stefanovic, and then I have 2 GAs and Jared Wolburn and Tommy Luce that are former players. So we got a good group of guys. We got younger guys that can relate to them. But, we're very systematic. And so we're systematic, and we evolve with our system, if that makes any sense. We evolve towards the strengths of our best players. So I always talk about it. I probably talked about it the other day, but I think it's a big fallacy in recruiting because everybody wants to play shortstop and lead off. But you got one shortstop, and if Cal Ripken's there, he's probably not going to get moved. And so guys just don't grasp. They want roles, but I want players that just want to win. I want guys that can fit into those roles and understand that. Now you got to have your horses right. You can't have 8 guys that are 8 role players. You got to have Carson Edwards. You got to have Caleb Swanigan. You got to have Zach Edey. You got to have Braden Smith being a maestro out there. Now when you piece those other guys together, you're systematic. And a lot of people don't give us credit. We really try to push the basketball. Now, some great teams stop us from doing that, and it doesn't look that way at times. But if you let us go or you turn it over or you take bad shots, we really try to push. So it's that balance of it. But, we've been able to get elite big guys. And if you can get a good point guard and get someone who can run the team like we have, and you got elite big guys, if you can put skill and competitive spirit together, those two qualities together is magic, man. Guys that'll lay it on the line, guys that'll dive on the floor. We started recruiting Mason Gillis, and he played. It's hard to sometimes when they play center. Mason Gillis played center in high school, but I go and watch him warm up, and I'm like, man, he can shoot. But yet his numbers don't show that he's taking a lot of threes. Well, he's just doing what's best for his high school team. And so I'm like, man, he's going to be a good college player. Like when I saw Fletcher Lawyer and how competitive he was, he's got heavy feet, but the ball goes in and he's competitive. Yeah, coming from someone who's got heavier feet. But those guys win the day, man. They care, and that's what Lance has been able to do for us. Lance has a good competitive spirit. He has a good way about him, and I want to have fun. Like I don't want to get stuck in an airport, with guys I don't want to be around. Like I get to choose. It's not a school district. I get to pick. Like I want to have fun, and that's selfish, but I could care less. And so, I just did a bad job, and I think we all fall into the trap of looking at talent instead of looking at talented people that are productive. The production's what we go on, right? Like, you're like, hey, man, this guy can jump over the moon and do a whirly bird 360, but he gets 2 rebounds. Like, well, who cares then? How many breakaways you going to get, right? You got to get guys. That's why if you look at UConn and look at those guys on their team, man, they are competitive and they're nasty and they can guard, and what they're all about. They're all about winning, and he's done a great job instilling that. But I bet if you went and talked to him, they would talk about, they were that way before. He's just enhanced that stuff and been able to get it, and that's what you get. Like you can learn from a lot of other people, but you damn sure better learn from your own mistakes, and I think that's what we've been able to do.
Take one last one on the right side here, and then we'll pick.
All right, Deion Cash, SC Live 365. Coach, congratulations. 2 parts real quick. Zach Edey seems like he's got a little bit of a streak now. He's matured a lot. Talk about that. And 5 minutes left in the game. What did you tell him, Coach?
Yeah, Zach's got a competitive, fight to him, and he doesn't back down. And, when you have that elite physical size and you have that competitive spirit with it, with some skill, it's pretty dangerous. He's pretty hard to handle. We had some guys on fumes, I thought. I thought both teams had some guys on fumes. And we just had to dig deep, take care of the basketball, and just told them, hey, it's right here for us. This is what we've worked towards. We've put it in position. Trust the process. Take your shots when they're there. Big fella's going to get the right of first refusal. We made sure they understood that. He doesn't have to shoot it, but he's got to touch it. And, put them in that bind. Make them handle all that. He's going to pass if somebody's open, but we have a rule. You want to double him, you want to mess with him, he's going to pass the ball, he's going to dig deeper. But if he stays one-on-one, his rule is to score the ball.
Left side, first row, Coach.
Coach, a big talking point in college basketball has been the 10-0 run or the kill shot. That's something that your team has kind of struggled with the past couple of years. But this year, it seems like every game there's been one. There was a 13-0 run this year, or this game. Can you talk about how that's kind of changed, or what's changed about the team that has led to that?
Yeah, we've played more offensive guys. We have more skill that is out there. And so I thought a big part of the game was when they went up 32-21, if I have the numbers right. And then we went on a run right then. Like, we were very vulnerable at that point. But we had 25 minutes to play. We had a long game. And for us to be up after being down 11, I thought was a great sign for us. But a lot of people feed off of makes, right? So, like, you get guys that go 5 for 6 from 3, they'll defend better and rebound better because they're 5 for 6. But will they defend and rebound when they're 0 for 6? Like, that's always a telltale for a championship team. And today, we're 3 for 15 from 3. We shoot 64%, a little under 64% from the free throw line. And I didn't think it affected anything, even though I thought we had some glaring mistakes with Dalton Connect. Like, when the ball got loose or rebounds happened, like, you got to go to him. Like, you can't get separated from him at times. Now, he made some tough ones when we did do what we're supposed to, but we gave him a handful of looks, and we were fortunate. At the end, he had a couple of really good looks that didn't go down. We were very fortunate, but just staying with it, and runs are a big part of the game, right? Obviously when they go against you, it can be the difference. But if you can get those good runs, or if you can get 2 quality runs, and you have a good team and you have good talent, you're normally going to win that game.
Thanks, Coach. We'll have 2 in the second row here on the left side.
Yeah, Israel Schumann from the Purdue Exponent. Matt, you've talked about being grimy when you guys don't shoot well. Was this the essence of a performance like that today?
Yeah, our ability to rebound, it ends up being the difference, right? We had 10 turnovers, they had 7, but out-rebounded by 20, in my opinion, ends up being the difference. But, yeah, you have to grind. I said it after the Gonzaga game. I go, we made shots, and we really separated ourselves in that second half. But if we don't make the shots, how does this game, end up? And that's, obviously you don't want that to happen, right? You want to go 10 for 15 from 3 and shoot 80% from the line. And but that's the game of basketball. The ball doesn't always go in. That's going to be a guarantee. It's why people always say defense and rebounding travel, because you can be constant in those areas. And, I thought that rebounding piece for us was the difference.
4th row on the left side. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there was a second one.
Josh George, fan-sided. Matt, Dalton Connect, you talked about him a little bit. He took 31 shots. Was it part of your plan to make them one-dimensional? Because that's certainly what happened, taking away kind of the role players. And he went off, but it was still a great defensive performance.
Yeah, no, not really. We wanted to get up and jam the basketball to start, and so that's why we had Lance on him. Then at dead balls, Lance would go on him. I just didn't think our attention to detail was great, but I think it's smart on their part. Someone got a hot hand and go to him. Why not? If you had to pick someone off their team that you want to get shots for, he'd be the one. And then when you look back on things, you're like, well, this guy took the most shots. This guy took the most shots. They needed a little bit more balance. But at the end of the day, if what you're doing is working, why not stay with it? So I thought it made a lot of sense just to stay with him and keep going. But I do understand your point, because we get that way with Zach. We want that balance. But we also know if he's got the advantage. We had a couple drives in the game where it's just like, you were going nowhere. There's nothing wrong when people fly at you and stop your 3 to now put the ball on the deck, and because we were able to drive and get some layups. But then at times when it doesn't work for you, you wonder why Zach didn't get the ball. So they have to feel the same way about him.
4th row on the left.
Bob Kravitz, Indy Monthly. When you got to the top of the ladder, what did you see and what did you feel when you were up there? They didn't leave a lot of net for you. I noticed that.
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
like a snippet.
I don't normally do it. I don't normally cut the net down when we've won championships and stuff. It's just kind of not my deal, but they said I had to do it. So nothing, just, you get a lot of shit from people on the other side, whether it's rivals or other people in your league or whatever, and that's their job, right? That is their job. They're your rivals. You go against them, and that's part of it. But, the one thing I appreciated, especially after last year, was the people that supported us from Purdue. And that was, to me, those are the people that are in your corner no matter what. And, I just appreciate the Purdue faithful that stayed confident that we could get the job done while I was still the head coach.
We'll move it over to the right side here in the second row. Then we got one in the front after that.
Ryan Bonaparte, Hammer and Rails. Matt, seemingly every night Zach is breaking a record or getting on a short list with legends, but now you start seeing Braden do that. So how nice is it to have him for the next game or two, as well as the next 2 seasons potentially?
Yeah, no question about it. Like, him evolving as one of the best point guards in the country, if not the best point guard in the country. Just his ability to pass and see things. He didn't get to it a lot tonight in terms of shooting his pull-up, but you guys that follow us have seen him in games, and especially people that play drop coverage. Like, he can really get to that pull-up, whether that's a 3 or whether getting to like that 15-footer. So I think that's the most important thing for him, is to stay consistent and keep looking for his shot. Keep being aggressive, because when they take his shot away from him, now he can instinctually make passes, whether that's a post-up or a skip or, what have you. But no, he's very knowledgeable, very instinctive, makes good decisions. But, somebody that, you want the ball in his hands, and that's what we've really found out, that keeping the ball in his hands helps everybody, especially Zach, and now they got to deal with him and stop him, and then they got to deal with Zach coming into the post. And if they overdo anything, then we go back and go in, or we reverse it and go in, and then, we just try to keep playing. But he's been fabulous.
Last question, right side in the front row.
Larry Leach from AP. Talked to Gene Katie just a little bit ago, and he said you're like a son. Is he like a dad, and what does it mean to you to have him on this day in person?
Yeah, it's great. He obviously deserves to have this moment, right? He worked so hard, and seeing him go into the Hall of Fame, is one of the coolest things that, I've seen in competitive sports for us here, at Purdue. But like, he always comes at the end of the year, then travels with us, and he's around, and and kind of what he recalls, from his coaching career and all the things and all the experiences that you had. And they won 3 Big Ten championships after I graduated, and so like it's always something that you wanted to be a part of that. And he's always included me, and I've always included him. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So when you're 18 years old and you get recruited by somebody, you don't think 15 years later you're going to be the head coach and take his place, right? So to me, it was really surreal when I coached 1 year in college and they were interested in me. But I know he had a big part of it. I know he had a huge part of it, and I'm very grateful for that, and very grateful for all he's done for me and our players.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate your time.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.